place finish in the points today, but ultimately I know that's not what's on the minds of everybody on this team, but what is your emotions after your day today and everything that this entire group has gone through?
Yeah, I mean, wow. Just, you know, from being out and then the wins at Charlotte and Martinsville, and then all of a sudden you wake up this morning and you're racing for a championship, you're happy, you're elated, and then, you know, your world comes crashing down. So, you know, whenever you get news like that, it definitely puts in perspective that there's more to this than outside of racing. So, you know, the whole Gibbs family is in all of our prayers, and thinking of them, you know, ultimately today, Nascar won the championship. He was really strong. Proud of our 20 group though. We fought hard, and whenever it was at the end of the race, the last pit stop, or we thought it was going to be the last pit stop, we were right there battling for it. So just proud to be in this position, proud to be at Joe Gibbs Racing, driving this number 20 car. DeWalt Camry was, you know, we were there, and hopefully we can come back again next year.
Statistically, this was your best season of your NASCAR Cup Series career. So what positives can you take from everything you guys battled through this year and apply that to next year?
Yeah, I mean, I feel good about where we're at for sure, and I'm hopeful that my group stays the exact same, from mechanics and engineers, and obviously Adam Stevens on top of the pit box, because I feel like we got a good thing going, and I feel like we're right on the brink of, you know, being there every week and being a title contender year in and year out. So just really thankful to be here, and very incredibly saddened by the news today, and thinking of the Gibbs family.
Tough day for the 20 team. Christopher Bell, 10th on the racetrack today and 3rd in points.
Still in the tough news that he's talking about, 49-year-old Coy Gibbs passing away this morning. The father of Ty Gibbs, who had just won the championship, the Xfinity Series championship yesterday. And so that news just coming to the entire team and Joe Gibbs' organization this morning, right before that race. So the emotions, like he mentioned, so high running for a championship, and then so low to hear of the news of losing one of the co-owners and founders of this race team.
Yeah, the unfortunate part about that is he gets in this race car for a few brief hours and goes to work, right? And that's out of mind for a brief few hours, and then you get back out of the car and are faced with that reality again. And so just the emotions of the roller coaster emotions for everyone in that organization over the past 48 hours. I can't imagine what they may be thinking, but we're certainly, you know, praying for Joe and the whole family, Ty, and this industry will support them immensely going forward.
See Joey Logano, and again the highs and lows of the sport. Joey Logano accomplished everything he was looking for today. Joey Logano wins the race, wins the championship, and it's about time for the hardware to be distributed now, as far as, once again, we will see Joey Logano with the NASCAR Cup Series trophy. That is on stage and will be handed out here momentarily. Hudson being able to take that ride with Dad all the way to the championship stage. And as he climbs out, we saw Joey, when he initially got out of the car, the emotions, and so focused. And he's had 2 weeks to think about this, because his win at Vegas was able to open up this opportunity for him to focus on this race alone. Knew he was in the championship for, and his signature, he held the steering wheel out. We see that with his foundation. Standing on the side of the car, arms raised, and once again celebrating a championship. A lot of people to congratulate the 2022 champion before he heads up on stage. And now for the championship celebration ceremonies, we go to Marty.
Joey Logano is now a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. Mark Rushbrook from Ford up here. Joey gets to pick up this trophy for a second time, and to do the honors, and as you mentioned, Rick, hand out the hardware. We'll introduce the president of NASCAR, Steve Phelps. All you, Steve.
Thank you, Marty. What an incredible season. But before we get to Joey and crown an unbelievable champion for the second time, want to do a shout out to the best fans in all of sports, and that's NASCAR fans. Whether you're here at Phoenix Raceway or tuning in around the world, I want to thank you for all you do for our great sport. And Joey, what a season. Brittany, here we are. Congratulations. Joey, you started off our season way back in early February at the Busch Lake Clash at the Coliseum with a win. 9 months later, here we are, Phoenix Raceway with another win, but this time it comes with the big trophy. Correct? It's all that matters. And you are a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. So Joey, on behalf of everyone at NASCAR, I want to present to you the Bill France Cup and crown you our 2022 NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Let's get over Joey Logano as Roger Penske and Kathy Penske have come up here, as well as Brittany and Hudson, his son. You talked about, Joey, the first time around, you didn't realize what a championship meant. What does it mean to you as a family to share this moment with Hudson, who got to ride into victory lane with you?
We've had so many conversations over the last couple of weeks before bedtime. And said, first was Daddy was going to be on a pole, and he was going to meet me out here, and we were going to win the race. And I couldn't be a liar to my son, so this worked out. Ever since Harvick gave his son a ride in the car, I always wanted to do that with Hudson. And he's such a little car guy, so it was a special moment to ride together. But man, I can't say enough about this race team. They just grind it out. They just grind it. They're so amazing. Paul Wolf, oh man, everybody that put so much time and effort in the last few weeks, and not just this 22 team. This goes so much deeper when you think of Roush Yates engines and the motor that's in this bad boy. I mean, I think everyone at Ford, all the employees at Shell and Pennzoil, everyone that supported me.
Can we bump down the audio, please? Two, 1, 2. Okay, we are now joined by Chase Elliott. If you have a question for Chase, please raise your hand. We'll get right to questions. We'll start here with Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Can you just kind of explain or walk us through the situation with the one car and what happened there, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but looking forward to the off season and I'm really proud of our team for the fight that we put in today, and felt like we had just kind of peaked right there, before we crashed, and felt like we got our car driving pretty good. We just had our best pit stop of the day, so that was all really solid. And heck, we were right there next to the 22. So yeah, thought we had a shot at it all the way up until we didn't, and that is unfortunately how it goes sometimes.
Any more questions for Chase? Go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Racing America, obviously another kind of flat track, so it was a track position race. Do you feel like you ever really got a chance to show what that car was? Because we saw the 22, when he lost track position, he struggled for a little bit too. So did you ever get the chance to show what the car could have been had you got track position?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I felt like we had gotten it driving about as good as it had been all weekend, honestly. Like when we split the stage and then some of those guys stayed out and ran along and we went a lap down and made our lap back up there under green, that run, I thought our car was driving pretty good. We had been adjusting on it up until that point. Yeah, and I thought we'd gotten to a pretty decent spot, but obviously it's hard to tell. We were out there on fresher tires and other guys were on old stuff, so was looking forward to seeing if that held true. But from where I sat, obviously it's difficult because you don't have a lot to gauge off of pace-wise. But I feel like our balance was getting pretty close, so that was good. But until you kind of get back in the mix and reset there, it is tough to say. Would have loved to see what it looked like, on the front couple of rows. I felt like, we just had, like I said a second ago, we just had our best pit stop of the day. Guys are rolling there on pit road, and would have loved to shot there at the end, but that's the way it works.
Go to Justin. Justin Schuler kicking the tires. Chase, I know it's not the finish you wanted, but how do you assess the year as a whole, and especially with this new car now that you guys have had a whole year? What do you expect going into 2023?
Yeah, I don't really care about 2023 right now, but we had 5 wins on the season, and we had. You tell me what the stats are. That's how you would assess it, right? But I know we won 5 races, and that's more than we did last year. But I don't. Do not tell me what the countdown clock is, because I don't want to know.
We'll go to Zach and then Dustin.
Zach Sterniel with NASCAR.com. Chase, you have probably addressed this by now, I'm sure, so I apologize for asking again. But just what was your viewpoint on how everything went down with the one car today, and just how you were able to react throughout the course of the rest of the race?
Yeah, just disappointed. Obviously, ended our day and ended our chance at at a win or a championship. So just disappointing.
Go to Dustin and Tom.
After the incident, when the one came up on you, certainly made it challenging. Why didn't you just wreck him there?
Yeah, like I said, just proud of my team and appreciate the effort that they put in, the fight that we had for these last 9 weeks.
Tom Bowles, Front Stretch and CBS Sports. Chase, you would have won the regular season title going away. Obviously, without the postseason reset, you had 5 wins this season. But you guys seemed a little more inconsistent during the playoffs. Do you have a sense yet as you head into the offseason, what gains you needed to make over the last 10 races, or where you might have fallen off a little bit?
Yeah. No, I think we certainly have a target to look at as we go into next year, and when time comes, we'll go to work on it. But that's not today. I can assure you that. We're going to enjoy a little time off, just like a lot of you guys are. It's a long season. A lot of effort goes into this deal, and looking forward to that. But yeah, we'll look, when we get back to Daytona next year, we'll be ready to go, and we will put the focus on the things that we feel like we need to put them on, and see where we stack up then. So yeah, again, 2023 is not on my radar right now.
Do we have any questions in the press box? All right, we'll come back down to the media center and go to John. Raise your hand, John.
John, newbehavior.com. This is kind of a random question, but will it be nice to kind of go out and take on like the Nitro Rallycross stuff as a way to kind of reset in a different competitive setting?
Yeah, that's just fun for me. It's just different, but yeah, that's just a fun opportunity for me.
Okay, Chase, thank you for your time, and have a great off season.
Yeah, y'all too. Thank you.
Okay, we're now joined in the media center by Christopher Bell. If you have a question for Christopher, please raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. Who wants to start? We'll go to Zach.
Zach Sterniel of NASCAR.com. Christopher, I'm just curious what your emotions have been throughout the course of today. Obviously, a terrible day for the organization. Just what were your emotions throughout the course?
Yeah, about the same as what it was through the whole playoff, the last
handful of weeks. Just, you wake up first thing this morning and super excited and thrilled with life and where you're at and the opportunity given to you. And, to receive news like that a couple hours before you get in the car is extremely tough. But, it just really kind of puts it in perspective that what we're doing here is not the big picture for sure. So, just thinking of Joe. I just can't imagine, what Joe's going through and the entire Gibbs family. So that's the important piece.
Go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Racing America. First, the restart where you kind of broke traction and slid up, and I don't know if you got the wall or not, but what happened on that restart?
Yeah, I just slipped. It was early in the race, right, or about halfway. Lost a chunk of track position there for sure. But yeah, just driving hard and slipped and definitely hindered our race for the time being. But it seemed like, we put ourselves in position later in the race to at least have a shot at it.
And then that's a perfect segue to the last restart and whether it or the last pit stop. So whether it's the last pit stop or what happened on that one restart, just how challenging is it when you find yourself outside of the top 10, kind of in that dirty air? What is that challenge like for you guys?
Yeah, it's just tough. It's unbelievable how much your pace is better just getting, you take the same cars that are running 10th, 15th and put them in the front, and their pace is always going to be better. So, there were a couple things that we definitely could have done different today, but ultimately the 22 was lights out all weekend, winning the pole and being super strong in practice. We were just kind of playing catch up. The rest of us were playing catch up to him, and the best car won the championship for sure.
Go to Justin, then Lee.
Justin Schuler kicking the tires. You mentioned on the radio that the engine was going, that you thought at least. Was there a smell or a misshift? Like, what made you feel that way? Because obviously it seemed like you were doing pretty well a few laps later, and you obviously passed some people and started to gain some ground too.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a weird sensation for sure. I'll have to go back and look at the data and see what we can find, but I just felt a loss of power very quickly and kind of a change of tune with the engine. And then that lasted for a handful of straightaways before it kind of came a little bit back, and I didn't feel like I was at a huge detriment anymore. So strange, and maybe I was just feeling stuff. I don't know, but it would be worth looking at for sure to know what exactly was going on.
Go to Lee.
Christopher, what did you learn about yourself through the playoffs? Because when you look back at this year and know that you had to step up and win to advance and step up and win to advance, that takes a hell of a lot out of, any athlete to just rise to that occasion. So, what did you learn about yourself, and how would you size up the season?
Yeah, I think the season was successful. To get to the Final Four is what every driver in NASCAR's goals are. So, I'm very proud of that effort. And, with 40, 50 to go, the last green flag pit stop, we put ourselves in position to race for it. So you can't ask for much more than that. And, looking forward to next year, or looking towards next year, I think we have potential to be stronger yet. And certainly we have room to improve at Phoenix. Yeah, I'm very content with where we ended the season and proud of the effort on this 20 car. And I'm excited about the future with Joe Gibbs Racing.
Go to Holly and then Jerry.
Christopher, as you mentioned, you received this heartbreaking news right before the race. Did you guys meet as a team? How do you go forward, and kind of what were you told from leadership, or what did you tell them? But what was that like for you, having to do that and right before your championship race?
Yeah, that was an experience like I've never gone through in my entire life. So, you just, in that moment, you don't know what's right and what's wrong, and you don't know if you should get in the race car and race, if you shouldn't race. And myself and Denny and, I think the other JGR drivers were all in the same boat. We just didn't know what to do. And then Dave Alpern actually came back to the racetrack right before we left for driver intros, and he told us that, we need to go out there and race, and that's what we did. But definitely just an incredible twist of emotion and, a perspective change for sure. You think that this is the big picture, and then whenever you get news like that, you realize that it's a small picture in the grand scheme of things.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. Christopher, we heard Adam talk about how he sees your potential and your, almost unlimited talent level. What have you learned about Adam? Because I heard you say on TV you want to keep the game together, you want to go forward. And what have you learned about Adam along this journey to the final championship 4?
Yeah, it's just I think that the longer that we're together, the better that we're going to get to be. And, just his communication, his style of crew chiefing is way different than any other crew chief that I've dealt with and drove for in the past. So the longer that we're together, the more that we understand each other. And, it's just trying to build on that. And I'm proud to drive for him. Obviously, the practice has really, really helped us get closer, and I think that we can continue to build on that and make gains moving into next year too.
Do we have any questions in the press box?
No questions.
Thank you. All right, Christopher. Oh, you have a question over here? Okay, well, and we'll wrap it right here.
Cooper Burns, BlazeRadioOnline.com. One of those last pit stops, obviously, there was some trouble on the left rear tire. Could you talk about, kind of the emotions you were feeling as you were just waiting for that tire to be put on the car?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much taking your chance away from competing for it. But I think from what they told me, Caleb, our jackman, got his finger smashed or something. So, the last thing that we want is an injury on the last race of the year. So I hope he's okay. And, it just wasn't meant to be. And that's about all you can say.
Okay, Christopher. Well, thank you for the time, and have a great off season. Congrats on a great year.
Happy off season.
I think we're good now. I think I've you, Lisa, so I have somebody now. So you can, yeah, all good. Thank you. Appreciate your help. Okay, we are now joined by Ross Chastain. If you have a question for Ross, please raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. We'll start with Zach.
Zach Sterniolo, Nascar.com. Ross, I was wondering if first you could describe what happened there with the 9 car on that one restart, but also just the emotions of going through this championship race and coming so close.
Yeah, the emotions are surprisingly good. Like, I'm not sad. I'm not upset. I honestly thought when we started the playoffs that if we made it, as I go through different scenarios, and I do think about what I'm going to think about ahead of time and think about what my thoughts are going to be and what I want them to be, and then I try to evaluate as I go. And I thought if I, like this scenario, if I lost by a little bit, that I would be really upset, and I'm not. Like, I'm so proud and so happy to give our first shot at these playoffs and at racing in the Cup Series with Trackhouse, and we just ran second. And Mr. Penske's group had us covered all day, and Joey was the best car until the final run, and we had a real shot to race with him. But we didn't have the balance in our car and the grip in our car all day to be that way. So I'm proud of the effort we kept. Nobody got upset. Nobody got flustered. We just kept working on our car all day. And with the 9, I feel like I got position on him to the left side in the dog leg, and he turned left.
Go to Holly.
Hi, Russ. Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. Could you say that you're not necessarily super disappointed because you take a lot of positive out of this, but how close did you feel that you were going to be? Did you know at some point this just isn't in the cards for us today, or were you feeling like, even towards the very end of the race that you were going to have something for them?
I never believed that we were out of it. We started 25th and drove to the top 10 quickly, top 15 quickly, and then top 10, and kind of raced around there, fought the balance of our car, and knew that if we got it right, we were going to have a shot. And on the final pit stop, we got it right. It fired off the best, together with a good pit stop, together with a good restart, with a good whatever, however many laps we made to the end there, and that was the best we were. And that's what makes me so happy, is that we can just keep fighting, and no one's ever upset. We keep our world small. We all do our jobs, and everybody at Trackhouse just put forth their best effort throughout the season, and we ended as strong as I've ever seen us. And everybody stepped it up in the sport, in the playoffs, here at the end, and we did the same thing. And I'm proud of that.
Go to Matt and Jerry and Lee.
Matt Weaver, Racing America. Man, you've been on a journey this year, right? Like the highs and lows, and there's been moments where people have been critical, said you shouldn't do this, you're great for doing this. Then you have what happens at Martinsville, you come here and race for a championship. Looking back on the entire season, is there anything that you wish you could have done differently?
Oh, we're going to be here a while, Matt. My gosh. Yeah, just learning to race with these guys, okay? Our cars were so fast this year. They were faster than I've ever had in the Cup Series by far. And I wanted to take every opportunity, every half of a car width, and take it and take the air. And then when I wasn't quite as good this year, I'd block them and just keep my position waiting on the next pit stop. And there's a lot in this Cup Series that I've ran for Premium, and then for Spire, and for CGR, and now Trackhouse. And as I've progressed through those teams and gotten closer to the front, it's different way, even though I was on track of the way the guys operate, and learning to coexist with them is something that I wished I would have had a better understanding of, or been more open-minded. I knew it. People had told me, and drivers had came to me in the past and tried to tell me, but I was just when I have an opportunity, I'm going to take it always. And not that I'm going to back down, but there's just it makes it a whole lot easier whenever these guys were coexisting with each other. And I wish I would have opened my mind to that a little earlier instead of waiting so long.
And then yesterday you mentioned kind of embracing the fear of can you be a Cup Series driver, and the timing of that. Were you ever afraid that maybe you couldn't cut it as a top-tier Cup Series guy, and now that you've gotten to this point, has this been kind of a validation that yes, I can be?
Well, I'm confident in my ability, and I'm confident in my team, but I don't believe that if I just stop now and show back up to the Clash and just all that in the middle is nothing productive, that I will be good enough to race at the top level of this sport. And I need to continue to evolve and be a better race car driver and study these guys and study myself, see what they're doing, understand these cars better, and understand the craft that it takes to drive at this level and to extrapolate the most out of these cars. So I feel like I'm on a never-ending hamster wheel to be the best version of myself, and that's not going to stop. And I hope that I never lose that drive, because I wake up and I think about, how can I drive a race car fast? That is my main priority every day of my life now, and it has been for the past probably 7 or 8 years. It wasn't at the beginning of my career. Before that, it was, how can I raise the funds to race? And before that, it was, what do we need to do at the farm to grow a crop? So you look at the progression of my mindset that comes natural when I wake up, and I feel like that I'm on a never-ending evolution to be better, and I can't wait to get to work this off season, even though I have learned to marry that together with maybe some time away, some time not focused on this, so that I am charged and ready. This is a long season, but I feel like we hit our stride early, obviously with the speed, but it just didn't falter. We did not, most of the missteps were on my part, not our team, and I want to clean that up.
We'll go to Jerry, Lee, then Nate.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. Ross, we've talked through the years about this is the dream, and this season this was a dream, and you had a dream that started here one time and then it got yanked away. But now this year's dream has kind of come to a close. Does it end now for this season, or do you bask in this second place run for the foreseeable future in the off season? Or you immediately start focusing on next year? And how do you explain, or how do you look forward to the continued growth that Trackhouse can provide?
For a lot of that, Jerry, I'm going to rely on my group, both Trackhouse and the business side and GM and the Chevy performance side too. With our coaches, I want them to guide me, and it's their jobs to mold me into the best race car driver I can be. I'm telling you guys, there's so many things that I can do better, and there's so many things that I can clean up that would make lap time, first of all. They would clean up running position throughout the race, and ultimately finishing position week in and week out. So I'll really rely on them, Josh and Scott and Dan, to guide me, make me the best version of myself that they can make me. And I want to be coachable. I want to be the best, and I believe that the path there isn't always what I want. I'm not always going to like what they want me to do. I'm not always going to enjoy the moments, but it's going to be for the better, and I believe I have the best group to do that. I'm full of gratitude and like just I can't believe how good I feel. I finished second in Truck Series points in 2019 and was crying, pulling in the pits off the track, and just got it together kind of, and then just lost my mind that night, but then had Xfinity and Cup, and that kind of took my mind off of it. And right now, like I am proud of what we've done, and I feel so good. There were no, pulling in, there was just taking like an audit on myself. There was no tears. There was no like moment where I had to like compose myself. It's just genuine, like good feeling from inside. And I'm just happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with the group I'm with. I was excited to get out and see my family, see my mom, see my dad and brother, and see the whole group we've got. And like, this is just the beginning. And if it all ends today, it's fine. Like really, if I can never race a car again, it's okay. Like it was all worth it. And I'm genuinely happy. And believe me when I say it's true, because there's other times where it eats you up as a competitor. But for some reason, it's not that I'm complacent in second, but I feel good.
Lee.
St. Smith said on Media Day that if he had everything handed to him, he didn't think he would work as hard as he did to get where he is. And I think of your progression, I think of Bell's progression, and does that, when you're a blue-collar kid, does that just instill a hunger in you that, just forces you to want to work harder?
It's tough to say because I can't speak for anybody else, but I can say that Zane, I walked out and just watched some of his championship celebration, took some pictures, just standing out there by myself just to be happy for him and just watch it and soak it in myself, to watch him soak it all in. And we were texting this morning and just love that guy and so proud of what he's been able to do. But, for me, look, I don't feel like that I would be here if I didn't have a lot of people do a lot of things for me. I didn't just win races in a local short track and make a name, like get here on my own. I had so many people put funds towards me, put rides, put their name out there to get me a ride, to go to a team owner and vouch for me. And I feel as privileged coming up as any other kid or guy or girl that has a direct family tie to a team. I think it could have went wrong for them just as much as it could have went wrong for me. So, we didn't own a team. We didn't bring all of our own sponsorship, but we did. We spent a lot of our own money to get here, and it's not talked about enough in this sport because it's kind of the ugly truth that, you have to sacrifice a lot. And point blank, I'm still paying my dad back, and I will probably for the foreseeable future. He sacrificed so much to put me in race cars coming up through the ranks, and then went out to his people that he knew and that our family knew, and we leveraged a lot of relationships. So it's not like it's just because I was a good race car driver that I got here. I had a lot of people, mainly in the agriculture industry early, support me because they knew me and they knew my family. And so I'm forever grateful for that. And that's why y'all will always hear about watermelons. You will always hear about agriculture, because without that and without our family farming ever, but watermelons the last 8 generations, I'm not able to put funds towards racing early in my career up at these top 3 levels to get in cars. And there's always somebody with more money. And I think we did a really good job navigating that market and that climb.
And Phil Surgeon was, you would have thought he won the race. Maybe not the championship, but you might have thought he won the race because he was so excited about being able to go to 2023 and hit the ground running, not being a one-car team, not knowing who was going to be on the, just having all the pieces in place now that you can take that platform and grow with it. Do you share his enthusiasm?
I do. We pulled on the backstretch, 20th in points last year with the 42, had a cooler full of beverages, and, walked away not knowing what the future was. We knew that tomorrow morning, Monday morning, we were walking in with new ownership and Chip and Doug Ducard and so many people that we had bet on being there for a long time in that 42 car, where it was their time to step away. And there was a lot of unknowns. And, to look back and think we ran 13th in this race, I believe, and 20th in driver points, to come back and run 3rd today and 2nd in the spring and fight for a championship. It's, we're only going to get better. I think that's what makes our group so good, is that with this new car, we thought there's so many ways we could be better with this car, and the buy-in from everybody through our 150 people is the key to that. Yep.
Okay, we have time for one more, and we'll take it from Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. So, Ross, after a week of speculation and conjecture about anybody would try to replicate your Martinsville move over these 3 races, nobody did it, including you. Your teammate told us yesterday that he tried it in a simulator and said it wouldn't work. Did you give any thought to maybe trying it, being, 2 spots back and 1.2 seconds behind?
I did not. With 5 to go, I looked over at it going into turn 3, and I knew Daniel had tried it and other guys, and I just didn't think that it worked. I thought that the Martinsville scenario was the perfect scenario for it, and my gut told me to do it Martinsville, and my gut told me not to do it here. So ultimately that's all I can do. And yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, everybody thought everybody would be doing it here, and they think they're going to do it there. Look, it's scary as heck to commit to that and to put your car and your body through that. It was the longest wreck of my life. Like it was a successful wreck for a long time through the corner. So I'm glad that NASCAR, dug their heels in a bit this weekend and said, look, we're not going to overreact to this. We're going to just let it play out. And we'll continue to talk about in the off season, even though there was a lot of push for a rule today. And I'm super proud of the group at NASCAR and everybody in charge for taking charge and making their own decision and not letting the pressure of the driver group, steer them too far. They took a big leap of faith with this car. The France family in NASCAR did. Obviously, I'm really thankful for that because it put Trackhouse into existence and it gave us kind of the reason that we've been able to be successful. And I think that, as we keep going and the sport evolves, it's important for them to, they run the show, and sometimes they need to, I'm like, you tell us what to do, you tell us what the rule book is, and then let us go race. And that's what makes NASCAR so great, I think.
Well, thank you, Ross. Appreciate the time post-race here, and congrats on a great season.
Thank y'all.
Okay, we are now joined by Mark Rushbrook, the Global Director, Ford Performance Motorsports, and the winning OEM of the driver champion, Joey Logano. We'll get right to questions from Mark. If you have one, please raise your hand and we'll get you a mic. Who wants to start? We'll go with Zach.
Zach Sturniolo of NASCAR.com. Ford hasn't had a driver win 2 championships since David Pearson a long time ago. What has Joey Logano brought to Ford as you guys are able to celebrate a second in 5 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, having Team Penske as part of Ford, as a partner for Ford, they are such a strong team, such a great partner, and you saw the strength across their cars today and throughout most of the season. And Joey, I don't remember how many times he's been in the championship for, but it seems like almost every year that he's been. And he delivers. He's a racer. He pays attention to every single detail, and especially getting locked in early like he did. That's all he's been focused on for the last 3 weeks, and Paul Wolf and the team and everybody. So he's just so committed and so strong and executed today, every lap.
Come up here to Jonathan.
Jonathan Viel, the Racing Experts. Ford had some struggles at the beginning of the season, but really started to turn on. What do you think was a turning point?
Yeah, it's been a great season for the sport. I think just with the next gen car coming in, and it definitely mixed things up a lot. We did start out well in many ways, in the sense that with the win at the Daytona 500, and we were fast at some of the early races. Chase Briscoe won here, but then we seemed to struggle a lot, and a lot of it was just coming to grips with a new car, really optimizing, and it's different at every track, and we found that we could get the setup right across our teams at some of the different tracks, but not at all of them. So it's part of learning the new car, and I think definitely the second half of the season, last third of the season, I guess, came on really strong. A lot of extra work from Doug Yates and Roush Yates engines, and some extra power that they've been bringing these last couple of races, and it all came together and really strong today.
Any more questions for Mark? Go to Justin.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. I know you guys are celebrating a championship, obviously, which is fantastic for Ford, but I also did want to ask about Keselowski's car catching fire. If my math is correct, I think that's the 9th Ford that's caught fire. I just wanted to see if you guys maybe have already started to work on a solution for those fires, or if you feel like this might just be freak situations with the new car and you guys are still trying to figure out the new car as a whole.
I think it's a lot that in the sport we still need to figure out. NASCAR made a lot of changes partway through the season, which certainly seemed to help, but there's just so much variability from track to track. A lot of it is due to the rubber buildup. And Brad last week at Martinsville, there was almost no rubber buildup in his car. This week, obviously, there was a lot. So, yeah, we need to take a close look at that through the off season as a sport, as a manufacturer, and see what we can do to improve for next season.
Go to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. You had two championships for manufacturers this weekend. Can you just address the trucks as well and what this means for Ford overall, for you guys?
Yeah, the truck race on Friday and the championship and Zane Smith and what Front Row Motorsports has done in starting that truck program and Zane being as strong as he was and, again, a dominant race that he had as well. So he's got a really strong future, I think, in the sport. And that means so much to us because the truck series is important to us. It's a great place for talent, for us to develop that at all elements of the team, and especially in the driver. So that was an important day for us. And then to cap it off today with the Cup Series and Joey and the championship, it's been a great weekend.
Do we have any more questions for Mark? Go right here.
Olivia Whistle, kickingthetires.net. With a Daytona 500 win with a rookie, a truck championship, and a cup championship, how do you assess Ford's year as a whole?
Yeah, at the end of the day, at the end of the season, it's the championship that matters. So to get the truck championship and the cup championship, that means so much. And great to see our young drivers excelling as well. So with Austin Cindric as a rookie to come in at the Daytona 500 and to win, and Chase Briscoe getting a win here in Phoenix earlier in the season, strength across our different teams and our drivers, and really happy with where our program is right now.
Okay, any final questions for Mark? All right, well, congratulations on outstanding season, Mark, and enjoy the offseason. Thank you.
This time.
Roger. Front and center would be good. Thank you, Rob. Okay, we are now joined with our 2022 NASCAR Cup Series champion owner, and that is Roger Penske. We'll get right to questions. If you have a question for Roger, please raise your hand and we'll get you a mic. We'll start up here to Nate and then Holly.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. So, Roger, your first time winning the IndyCar and the NASCAR championship in the same season. After 56 years as a team owner, how's it feel to do something new?
I think we've tried it for 31 years, so it's about time. But, what a special, weekend for us. I guess what I want to do is say a prayer for Joe Gibbs and, his family for the loss he had. I mean, that certainly is, more important than a win or a championship. So I just want to know we feel that as a team. I do personally in our family. But, no, Joey did a great job. I mean, I think you've seen what he's been able to do as he's come on the team. And, for us to have 2 championships in the same year is, that's what we're here for. That's the goal we have every year. And I think we've been close, but we got it this year.
What's next on the accomplishment box? Would Le Mans be next on your list?
I would say that's the mountain that we're going to try to climb in a year, to go to Le Mans and win for sure. Thank you.
Okay. Holly has had her question answered. Anything else for Roger? Go to Luis over here.
Luis Torres from the podium finish. First of all, congrats, Roger, on the championship and the Cup side. Between Joey's first championship and to now, what have you seen in that span as far as his growth and maturity to get his second championship?
Well, I think he came with us, 10 years ago. It's hard to believe that. And there was, a lot of discussion, was that the right move. I have to thank Brad, who talked to me about Joey and really made the opportunity for to meet with him. And he's come on. You've seen his success. The number of races he's won for us has been amazing. But, he really, I said to him at the beginning of the year that with Brad leaving and he being the senior guy, to really put his arms around the whole team. And I think we're a lot more transparent, as a group. They certainly worked together coming here this weekend. You could see all the cars were, very competitive, and that's because they all went on the same setup and they had a practice to see what was best, and we loaded that on the cars, and I think that he's been a big advocate for that. And then not just what he's doing on the track, our relationship, with Shell Pennzoil couldn't be better, and it's because the job that he's done and what he does off the track, and then he and Brittany, from a philanthropy standpoint, I see another part of Joe you don't see when he puts his helmet on. But once he puts that helmet on, you want to be sure he's on your team.
Over here.
Cooper Burns, BlazeRadioOnline.com. Does this NASCAR championship feel a little more special than others because it's the first one with a next-gen car and all the work that's gone on over the season to improve and try to find an edge over other teams?
Well, I think winning a championship, no matter what car it's in, is pretty special. And obviously to win the first race really at the Coliseum and then cap it off here was pretty amazing when you think about it. Because during the season, we weren't quite as competitive as we wanted to be as we got to know the car. And again, this teamwork we talked about made a big difference. But certainly special. Won the first race for the car and won the championship. So it was a good omen for us.
Do we have any questions from the press box? Okay, we'll stay down here. We'll go to Jenna.
Jennifer AP, congratulations. To win the Daytona 500 on your birthday and then the IndyCar championship and now the Cup championship, I mean, is this shy of an Indy 500 win? Is this a perfect year?
Well, I hate to say one is better than the other, but I'd have to say that, put them all together. They're all first place as far as I'm concerned. And what it does to the team, the momentum, it gives not only the race team, but, the 70,000 people that are in our company because they're all watching. And we don't win every day, do we? But it teaches us how to win and how to stay in the game, and I think that's what it's done. But, really 3 super days, super accomplishments for the team. So I can't say one's better than the other. I'm just glad to be here.
We'll go to John in the back there.
John Harfone with the Circuit Journal. Mr. Penske, just over the decades, you've won pretty much everything there is. Obviously, Le Mans is still a box you have to check, but just how have you maintained the motivation to win everything you have just over the years throughout your entire career?
Well, racing, I think I've said it before, is the common thread, through our company. The success we've had on the racetrack has really built our brand. So to me, it's part of our everyday. Really it's a menu for every single day about winning. And I think racing, shows it on the weekend. And I said to people who are in the investment business, like having your quarterly earnings every weekend. So they better be good.
Any more questions for Mr. Penske? All right, looks like we're all clear. Congratulations, Roger. I appreciate the time, and enjoy the off season.
Yep, I got you.
Okay, we are now joined by the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series Championship crew chief, and that is Paul Wolf. If you have a question for Paul, raise your hand and we'll get you a mic. We'll start right here to Kelly and then go about the room.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Paul, watching you on the pit box, you didn't immediately jump up or really react. It kind of looked like you were sitting there maybe gathering yourself. So what was going through your head? How did you just feel in that aftermath?
Probably a bit of relief, to be honest. It's gosh, it's so hard to win these things, and I've told a few people this before the weekend. You know, I knew we were prepared the best we could be. We had the speed when we unloaded, and it was just, you get into this race and you just don't want to screw it up. I mean, there's so much work by a lot of people back at the shop and the guys on this team and our teammates, and so much goes into it, and you don't want to have a mistake during that race. And trying to go through all the scenarios with the strategy as the race is playing out, as we've seen that affect how some of these races play out at the end. My engineers do a great job of trying to give me the best information we can. And like I said, when we had the lead there at the end with, 30 to go, you're kind of playing those scenarios. Well, what are we going to do if a caution comes out? How many laps to go? 2 tires, 4 tires stay out? It's pretty stressful at the end. And so when we finally got the checker flag there, it was just took a minute. It's a bit of a relief and just a great feeling. So yeah, and I'm obviously not a super emotional guy, as any of you that have followed me over the last 10 years, but it does mean a lot to me. May not show it as much as others, but it's a pretty special day.
Joey obviously came in very determined. He's been very on it with his comments about being the favorite, being determined, out for revenge. You spoke yesterday about how he's been on his A game and that it was going to be tough to beat him today. How much easier or how much, you mentioned a sigh of relief, does that make it for you, knowing that you don't have to worry about your driver? He's already locked in. You can just focus on the car and the team.
Well, it means a lot, and that's a lot of what I saw out of Joey as teammates when he joined us at Team Penske, was that drive he had and the effort he put in over the years, and you always know what you're going to get with him, and that's 100% focus and doing the best he's capable of. And those are the kind of people you want to work with, and you never doubt his work ethic and what he's putting into being the best he can be. And that's what makes you want to motivate you to work hard. And I knew he was capable of winning this race and championship today, and just didn't want to let him down, and we've got a great group of guys on our team and supporting us, and we were able to give him what he needed to do his job, and then we got the results we deserve.
Go to Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Paul, I know you had certainly the best car. Joey qualified on pole, but if you were just going off demeanor and body language Thursday, I mean, Joey had so much swagger. He was clearly the most confident. As Kelly said, he's proclaiming himself the favorite. How often have you seen that side of him, and do you think him setting that tone, did that help you and the team all weekend?
Yeah. I feel like for sure when these playoffs started this season, he was on his A game, and he was focused and determined that we were going to win this championship. And that's the way he would talk as he would come into the shop, and when he was around the guys and the time we would spend together, there was no doubt in his mind that we were the favorite and we were going to get it done. And I think as a company, there was a lot of challenges starting this season, with this new car and what all that meant. And it was definitely an up and down year and a lot of growing pains, but I feel like we continued to learn and get better every week. And I don't know if that's what gave them the confidence to believe in the team that when we got to the playoffs, we were going to be as good as anyone and capable of giving him the cars he needed to go out there and contend. And guys have done a great job. Like I said, throughout the playoffs, I feel like we had the speed. I feel like the Homestead test was a good turning point for us as we needed to find a little bit I felt like to the Chevrolets for sure and the Toyotas. And I think he was pretty motivated after that test there, and we went on to run really strong and then win Vegas, and that kind of gave him that last bit of confidence, I guess, to know that we were going to be able to come here to Phoenix and get the job done.
We'll go to Jordan, then Matt, and then Lee.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This is your second championship. Not many crew chiefs currently have two. When you won your first back in 12, it felt like kind of like a beginning, right? Like you're going to maybe win a bunch. But it's been 10 years. I mean, what's that like?
Yeah, a lot's happened in those 10 years for sure. A lot's changed. Different driver. Totally different car. The racing's totally different in my eyes from what it was back then. It was almost like, that happened in my second year in Cup racing. It was almost like I didn't know better, didn't understand how difficult it really was to compete for a championship in this series, the best teams and drivers. So a lot's happened. I don't know that it's still hasn't totally sank in yet what we've been able to do. I just go out there every week and try to do the best and continue to try to build a team with the best people we can. I've said this before. I'm not going to say I'm the smartest guy in the garage, but I like to put a lot of good people around me and make me look good, and we've definitely got that on this team and within our company. And just try to go out there and do the best I can and not make any mistakes.
Matt Weaver, Racing America. So you had kind of alluded to it earlier, but Ford has kind of been third on the hierarchy from about the summer on. We kind of started to realize that. How do you go about making those gains? Where are the biggest deficits that you guys had to overcome to be in this position to advance and get here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was just it's a steep learning curve this year with this car. It's something totally different than what we've obviously used in the past, and with the whole underbody and the aero side of it, understanding, some of the trade-offs of the mechanical setups versus aero, and a lot of the things we did in the past really don't work with this car. And being open-minded and continuing to have guys come up with different ideas, things to try, and just being smart about every week trying to take something out of it and learn something. And then very limited opportunities, right, to test in practice with a 20-minute practice session and very limited changes. It makes it really hard to try to advance and get better. So when you have those opportunities, you really have to make sure you're prepared to get the most out of them. And that's where I feel like having a great group of guys on this team and within Team Penske, we were able to make the most of that. And it's obviously made the difference for us.
We'll go up here to Lee. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, and then to that point, though, when did the Phoenix preparation start, and how did winning early in that round to allow you to just focus on the car, how did that help you get better for this race?
Well, it started right after the win in Vegas. I mean, we all know that's kind of how it works with this system. Not that we wanted to go run well at Homestead and Martinsville. But for me personally, I've always, I it takes all focus for me on what's ahead of me that week, right, and making the most of that. Not that we wanted to throw away those races, but I started focusing on Phoenix right after that win that next Monday and making sure we didn't miss anything. How much of an advantage is that? I don't know. I don't know that you can quantify it, but I'd like to feel like I was prepared as I could be coming into this weekend, and with a lot of great support from our teammates and stuff. Coming here this weekend, we were able to unload very, very fast, and then go through a lot of things we wanted to try to find a little bit more. And I'm thankful to everyone within the company there that was supportive of that and had the focus of getting another championship for the team.
Go Lee and then Cole.
You gave Roger his first Cup championship, and I got to tell you, when he was in here, the fact that he's finally gotten a Cup and IndyCar championship in the same year meant the world to him. What does it mean to be able to deliver that?
Like I said earlier, I'm just glad I didn't screw it up. People always say, what's it mean to, like when we go to Indy, we know how important that is to Roger and the team, and being able to win 2 championships. Like, I think it's great. I feel the pressure every week, whether I'm racing at Bristol or Indy or trying to get the second championship for Team Penske. So I know it's very special, and it's exciting to be able to be part of that, of getting both championships this season. But it's hard to say I worked any differently than I would have if we weren't going for the second championship for Team Penske this today. But I know it means a lot, and it's exciting for everyone involved, and it's tough to do and pretty neat at the same time.
As methodical as your approach was, we watched through that second stage where fuel was really in question. And he, Joey, as calm as he's been all weekend, that was kind of like the one moment where he got a little bit on edge. How close were you? And was there anything else behind the scenes that we might not have seen that, gave you pause?
No, it's a good observation. I think he was a little on edge, as I was as well. There were some moments I got pretty hard on my engineers, like, we need to know what we got to do here, guys. Like, the guys we were racing for the championships looked like they got into save mode. Track position's big, the clean air's big. The 19 was kind of pressuring us, and we had saved some. That was a tough moment. It's hard balancing those moments of what to do, and trying to give Joey all the information he could, because I get it at times he's out there and feels like he needs more information to do the best he can, and it's never super simple, obviously, or clear cut, and we're trying to make the best decisions at kind of heat of the moment, and that was a tough spot in the race, but we got through it. I guess we did as good as most at what we needed to accomplish in that to get through that stage. From there, I think the end of the race, from the strategy standpoint, once we took the lead there and you're counting down the laps, and we've run 10, we've run 15. All right, are we pitting if the caution comes out? Are we doing 2 tires? Those are the moments that I stressed about last night and leading up to this race. Is just like, you don't want to screw up the strategy, and we've seen it play out plenty of times this season and over the years. It's why the best car doesn't always win, is because those interesting times when a caution falls, and your competitors, if they can't beat you on speed, they're likely going to try something on strategy, right? And I've won plenty of races. We've won plenty of races that way. that's how we won Vegas. To put us in this position was taking the tires when no one else did. And so you're trying to do the best you can to make the right decisions if that happens. So that was probably the second. Well, that was probably the most stressful part of the race for me was those last 20, 30 laps. And fortunately, we didn't get the caution in the tough call. And I think Ford has done a great job of trying to help us through the playoffs. And there's a lot of guys. Rodney and I have a great relationship and friends, and he's helped me through the playoffs. And we talk a lot and try to just be better as one Ford team. And I was texting him throughout the race, like, what are you guys thinking? What would you do if we, and so those being open communication with the other Ford teams, I think was good. Maybe makes those decisions a little easier if you do get the caution. Just understanding where those guys are at and stuff. So I gotta thank those guys as well for that support and communication and talk. I think there's a lot of smart people in the garage, and just, like I said, try to be open-minded and listen to what everyone has to say.
Cool.
You were texting Rodney Childers in the race.
Yeah.
For strategy advice?
Yeah.
Like, is that normal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have that relationship. Rodney and I have what I would consider a pretty good relationship, and we try to help each other when we can, bounce ideas off from each other. And I have thoughts, but all the other crew chiefs might think something different. So I always try to, like, all right, what was some other guys thinking about, right? Like, am I thinking the right way? What's going to be the right call? And it's good to have another perspective, and so yeah, there's guys in the garage you can trust, and there's guys you can't. And I think Rodney and I have a great relationship, and I appreciate that.
Very cool. Cole Cusimano with the Arizona Republic. Congrats, Paul. You mentioned how crucial track position and clean air is at Phoenix specifically. I'm curious what went into this decision to kind of like hold off on pitting. I think it was inside of 60 to go during those green flag stops. Just knowing how crucial track position is when Christopher, I believe, pit beforehand.
Yeah. So those scenarios, we try to build the gap as much as we can leading up to those green flag cycles that you're going to get. Short pitting or being the first guy to pit road, the downside of that is if a caution comes out, right, then you're trapped. So when you're kind of the lead guy, you always want to try to build that gap and stay out as long as you can. We weren't trying to jump anyone. We just needed to kind of maintain those guys. When you're running where they were, it was like, okay, here's our opportunity to try to short pit them a little bit, gain some track position, maybe jump them. So we just kind of monitor. Our plan is, you kind of run as long as we can until they peel off, and then you manage how many seconds did we have over those guys when the cycle started, and that kind of tells us, okay, we got 2-3 laps from when they pit. If the pit stops go clean, and that's kind of what we monitored. So once those guys started peeling off, we knew within the next lap or two we needed to come down so they didn't jump us. As we've said all along, you knew the championship 4 drivers, maybe they didn't have as much speed as us in practice, in qualifying, but when it comes down to it, they find a way to rise to another level. Ross was there at the end, and the 20 was as well. Obviously, the 9 had his issues, so you couldn't count them out. You had to kind of see where they were at, and we just kind of played off of when they pitted to when we were going to come in.
Greg.
Hey, Greg Engel, Forbes. Pit stops were a difference today, right? Some guys had slow pit stops, and like Bell and stuff. So, you go party, you go have fun, way to go, guys, rings, here you go. But to maintain that edge going into next year, I mean, obviously you have to keep the training and stuff. How hard is it going to be to keep that edge for that pit crew to maintain the level of where they're at now?
Well, it's tough. I mean, it's no different than us working on the cars. We've put as much emphasis on pit road and the pit crew as we do in the car because we see how important that is. And there's already things that we've talked about that we know we need to change up or look at to be better next year. So, yeah, will continue to evolve as the car will. We saw issues on pit road today. I mean, we had a hiccup as well. That's kind of how we lost the lead there, and was just it doesn't take much. Fortunately, the guys were pretty solid the rest of the day though, and we were able to get that back. But yeah, that's something that will continue to evolve. I mean, for these tire changers in all positions, really, it's just so much different than what they've done in the past, and we've got to continue to focus on that as it's a big part.
Go over here.
Cooper Burns, BlazeRadioOnline.com. How important was winning the pole position in this race? Not because it's just a championship race, but also it gave you that number one pit box, which turned out to be a big factor in winning the championship today.
Yeah, I think it's a big part. I think it's, the pit stall's obviously really good. It's worth a car length or so on equal stops. I think just the confidence, and it gives the driver, knowing that we had the fastest car, and then the like I said, being able to kind of set the pace, lead the field. I think it's hard to beat that, and as good as our car was, if we had the lead, there wasn't anybody that was really going to be able to pass us. With that being said, you kind of tune your car around being the leader and having the clean air for a majority of the run till you get to lap cars. When we did lose the lead, it kind of changed the balance of our car. So it's always a fine line of how you adjust on your car throughout the race depending on where you're running. So that was probably a little bit of a challenge for us when we did lose the lead there. I think we were running fourth or fifth there at one point. And the balance of the car changed a good bit, and he was complaining about being tight in traffic. As we got back to the lead, then obviously that helped fix it. So it's like, how much do you work on it for running fifth versus leading?
Any final questions for Paul? We'll wrap up here with Lee.
You're the engineer, so when you look at the three champions, all of them, executed flawlessly, won the pole, won the race. I mean, it just seemed to kind of follow suit. Is there something to this track that just kind of dictates that, or is it just the way things happen this year?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I'm not really sure I could say that there's one thing to me that stands out that way. Yeah, I mean, just fast cars, good drivers, and yeah, I don't know. I can't say I can answer that one.
Okay. Well, congratulations, Paul, and enjoy the off season and the celebration.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
important. Mildly important. Hey guys, just a quick update. As you write, if you need some inspiration, there's some ice cold Bud Lights in a cooler in the back here, so feel free.
We were busy winning.
All right, we are now joined by two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Team Penske Ford. We'll go straight to questions. We'll go to Jerry and then Zach.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires.net. I'll follow up on my statement. There was never a doubt in your mind. What was it like during the race? You pretty much dominated.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good car, and I told the guys after we put it on the pin the other day, I said, well, we got them down, now we put our foot on them, right? And that's the attitude you got to have, right? It's just what it is when it comes to this level. Your feelings are checked at the door, and then it's all about winning and nothing less than that. And so when you get this far, I said it all week, we weren't satisfied with being in the championship 4. There's nothing to celebrate for us. We've been here before. We know what it feels like to lose. And it's the worst feeling in the world, if I'm being honest. And winning is the best feeling in the world. So it's great to be able to accomplish it. I said that this is revenge for 2020. It certainly was something that's going to stick with me for a while. So just super proud of this race team, super proud of everybody on it. Not just the 22 team, but everybody that puts a bunch of effort into this, right? You think of everyone at Team Penske, everybody at Roush Yates, everyone at Shell and Pennzoil, at Ford, everybody that really supports us, and not just them, but their families, right? You guys know how it is. You're gone and you're on the road all year long. It's a grind, right? And if you have kids, your spouse is pretty much raising your kids alone. It's hard, and it's not just for me that way. It's everybody that's on this whole series all year long. So in hopes that you win a championship. So. I found out in 2018, I say it all the time, I found out in 2018 that how big the team really is. And I carry that weight with me now, knowing how big it is and the impact it makes on their families. So a lot more gifts under the Christmas tree now. So I'm excited about this.
We're going to go to Zach, Jenna, and then Dustin Long.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Joey, first of all, congratulations. But also, you're now a 2-time champion. There's only one other active multi-time champion. What's the significance of having a second now and chasing more?
Yeah, it's great. I guess I haven't really put much thought into it yet. It's awesome to hear it. I guess degree to me feels like I should have 4 or 5 at the moment. So I guess the feeling is it's about time. But that's just how I am and how I work, I guess. But this one's special for a lot of reasons. And one thing that I think probably stands out the most to me is just the way Paul did it, and we all did it together, all the way through. And I feel like that's probably one of the most special things. When we won in Vegas, we sat down Monday and started coming up with a meeting agenda, a bunch of meeting agendas that we can go over and reviewing film together as a team, going, pit stops, reviewing rolling times on pit road, and just all these little subcategories that happen, and just making sure the details are all in the right place. That was the difference maker. We knew we'd have a fast race car. We would make those decisions, and we knew we'd be close because we had plenty of time to really go through all that, and we weren't bad here in the spring. But we knew details were going to be the difference of winning and losing, and we had the advantage, those 2.5 weeks to really work together and do that. And it's a grind. I'm telling you right now, it's a grind the last 2.5 weeks of just, this is all we thought about. And there's really, you put everything else, any other distraction gets put to the side. And it's tough for everybody. It's tough for everyone's families. And, but you have to, right? You can't waste the opportunity that's here in front of us. And all the way through the weekend, right? When it came to practice and, right before qualifying, we were in Paul's bus at 6 o'clock in the morning going through things. That's what we all did as a group together. We were in there this morning at 7 o'clock going over stuff to make sure we're prepared for today. We made sure that there was no stone unturned when it came to preparing for this race. And when you saw how confident I was and my team was, it's because we were truly ready. And you can't fake confidence. I mean, you can maybe show it a little bit, but truly deep down inside, you have to believe that if you're going to be ready for this battle ahead of you. And I never felt more ready. And a lot of credit goes to Paul for taking the time and the effort and forcing us to do it together as a team, right? There's plenty of crew chiefs are up that early. I get it, but they're not doing it together with their whole team. And I think that's a difference maker for us.
Wanted to follow up as well on a more somber note. I know that you were close with the JGR family prior to 2013. Given the tragedy earlier today, what were your emotions when you found out?
Yeah, I mean, I found out before the race, and I still honestly don't know the details of anything. And, you know, it's an interesting spot, you know, as you sit there preparing to run a championship race, and then you hear somebody that has been in your life, right? And you know, known for a while, and I still don't know the details, but it's just sad. I don't have words to explain how that is, and I feel for Ty more than anything, right? I mean, you take all the championship racing stuff out, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? I mean, it's great that we're up here when we won a championship, but you know, if something happens to your family, it doesn't matter, right? Like that's the difference. And you know, for the whole sport, it's a sad day. You know, and for me, it's a bittersweet type of thing, right? Because here we are winning a championship, and here we are, one of the people that's a leader in our sport. You know, and someone I've known for a while is gone, and I don't really know how to explain that and how hard that is. And obviously, our prayers and thoughts go to the Gibbs family and everyone over at JGR, and you think they've had a rough run at it. Yeah, I couldn't imagine, you know, how Joe feels right now. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It's just, that's hard. I couldn't imagine. I don't know what it's like, but you know, for Ty to lose his dad, I mean, it's just hard.
We'll go to Jenna, Dustin Long, and then we'll check in upstairs in the press box.
Jenna Fryer, AP. Congratulations, Joey. Roger was in here. He said that when Brad was leaving, he told you that, like, you're now the veteran. You know, you're in charge. You got to step up. What did you do to meet that request of his?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's just me. You know, it's stepping up. I feel like Blaney stepped up a lot, and Austin is a good leader right off the bat too. And with this next gen car, you know, yes, my experience is valuable because I've been around a long time and I know how things work and I know the sport works and those type of things. That's all well and good, but I had to unlearn a lot of things when it came to the race car itself. So, you know, I feel like I'm not the type of leader that wants to be on a pedestal above everybody and say, hey, I've been here the longest, listen to me. Like, I don't, that's not how I do it. It's not how Paul does it. It's not what I think is best. I feel like the best way a lot of times is to really get everyone's opinion and gather it and form your own opinion. And if it's something you feel truly strong about, you fight for it. Right. And then as a team, that's what I want. I want my, you know, my teammates as drivers to voice their opinions and put something together. And when we feel like something's right, we form one voice together. And same thing all the way through it, from TC all the way down. That's what we want as a race team. You know, and that means there's hard conversations. You just have to have them. That's good to have. And you know, as a leader together, that's okay with me. I'm fine with the tough conversation. I love tough conversations. They're better. If you ask me, it's what you always need. That's where growth comes from. It doesn't come from shoving things underneath the rug. So this is great, and that's what I mean. This is where the hard conversations happen, right? When they come to championships at the end of the day, and when you think of what Penske was able to do this year as a team, win an IndyCar championship and the Cup championship the same year, never been done before. That's a really special thing. So I don't know what they have planned for this one, but I'm sure it's going to be a fun off season for us. Thanks.
We'll go to Dustin Long to the press box, and then we'll go to Dustin Albino.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joey's your reference. On a day that Ty loses his father, your son got to walk with you to go get the checkered flag, get in the car, do donuts, ride to victory lane, and be a part of this celebration. What does it mean to be able to do that with your son, and the perspective that it happens on a day like this with fathers and sons?
That just goes to prove that you got to cherish every moment in life. You don't know when the next one happens, right? You don't know when your number's called. You just don't. And it's we always say God has a plan, and I agree with that, but it doesn't make it easier, right? And so it's challenging for a lot, and for me, having Hudson with me, and we left Jameson and Amelia at home just because this time change we tried to make this happen. We really did, knowing that we won a few weeks ago. We tried to put him on West Coast time. Turns out Jameson wakes up at 5 a.m. no matter what time you put him to sleep. You can put him at 10 or 6:30. He wakes up at 5 a.m. And he's a machine. So we said, you know what, you're staying home, bud. Love you, but Hudson can sleep in a little bit, so that's good. And so we brought him along. And honestly, ever since Kevin took Keelan in Michigan for a ride in the car, I said, I want to do that. Like, I always wanted to do that just because, I don't know, it's cool. Like, my Hudson and I, he's my oldest, so we have a connection there, and he's 4. Like, 2-year-olds still harder to get there as they get older. You get to a point where you see their interests and stuff. And Huddy, we every night before he goes to bed, he wants to talk about race cars, and he wants to talk about his go-kart in the backyard. And we have a connection of we read car magazines. That's his bedtime story. He wants to go through classic car magazines, and so he's into it. We kind of share. He's just a little me. I see so much of me in him. It's kind of funny. And like I said, I always dreamed of winning with him here because I always wanted to take him for a ride. We go for rides and hot rods all the time together, and it's definitely not the first donuts we've done together. But the first time in a race car, well, not just, but on the racetrack. It's the first time on the racetrack we got to do donuts together. And that's just cool to see him running up there and grabbing the checkered flag. I mean, that's it's hard to explain, right? If you have kids, you understand the love that you have for them. It's truly unconditional love, and to see him smile and celebrate a moment together it's truly the most awesome feeling. And the fact that we can talk about it, right? The first time we won it, he's like 9 months old. Which way was up? Barely hold his head up. So now to see him running up there and grabbing the flag and going for a ride with me, couldn't pick a better race to do that for the first time.
When you were doing the donuts, I'm sure you looked over at him. So what did you see? What was his face reaction? And did it look that much more different than any of the other donuts? Or what, as a father, what was it like to do that with your son? And what did you see out of his face?
Well, the race cars are a little louder than our Fox body at home. So that's his favorite car. We have a 91 Fox body Mustang, and he loves that. He loves that car. And so, but that one's got a big old supercharged motor in it, and it does some great donuts, and that's good. And the exhaust comes out the back, and it's not that loud. Everything's okay. It is loud, but it comes out the back. It's okay, and the windows are up. I said, this thing's a little louder, and the exhaust is right there. I'm like, hold your ears, hang on, And so we did some gentle donuts together, and he's so funny because he's so quiet. And then when you get him home, and especially before bedtime when he's trying to stay awake for an extra 30 minutes, that's when he becomes the most talkative. And that's the same as I was, right? I know I'm long-winded tonight, but I was a shy little kid that was always had my head in my dad's leg all the time when I was around people, and same thing with him. Thanks.
I'm going to go upstairs to the press box.
Chris Knight, catchfans.com. Joey, congratulations on the championship. It's been since 1968 and 1969 since Ford has had a 2-time Cup Series championship under their brand. I was just wondering what that means to you to bring that back to their wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's like I said, this championship it takes an army, and it's everybody, and Ford is a big player in this and how we all work together. And like I said, it takes a lot, and Ford's engineers and the design process of designing this next gen body and and all the things that go along with that. It's been a grueling, couple of years for them, and making sure they do it correctly and to where we can go out there and compete for a championship. That's what the hopes are for. And, they brought a great Mustang for us. And, to be able to say we won a couple championships together, driving a Ford, I take pride in that. Absolutely. And we did it together. And so it means so much to me sitting here today. The relationships that you make over the years in the sport, they mean so much, right? With you guys, or with your team members, or with your sponsors. You care about everybody, and it's a special group that we all are, and to have a sponsor, with Shell and Pennzoil that has been with me over the last 10 years, and for many years to come, and Ford. With Roger and everyone at Team Penske. I mean, I take a lot of pride in that, because it means you have to do it correctly, right? And the short-term deals don't work out for many reasons, and when you can make them work for a long time, it means you're doing business correctly, and you're treating people fair, and that's what it's about. It's all about a fair deal. And I feel like everyone's treated fairly, and that's why everyone's happy, and that's why we can win races together.
Do we have anything additional in the press box?
No questions.
Thank you. We'll go to Dustin Albino and then to Jonathan.
Dustin Albino, J-Ski. Joe, I know you had your moment with your son in the car, but how do you celebrate a second Cup championship, and is it different from the first?
I mean, it's definitely it feels a little different. If I'm being honest, it definitely feels a little different. But it still feels really special. I mean, what I remember of the first championship was, the moment when you get out of the car and you see everybody for the first time. That's the most special moment of the whole thing. And I knew it was going to be this time. Like last time it was a surprise. I didn't know, so like now, like seeing your team, seeing your wife, your kids, your mom, your dad, like just all that stuff, like for the first time and celebrating together, and really taking a moment to really enjoy that even more so than we did last time. I was conscious about that, because it's the best moment. The first 10 minutes is the best. There's just nothing like it, and it's so hard to achieve it, and you just hope to have that feeling again. And so, it took my time, and I'm glad I did. And because it's, like I said, it's just so tough to do. Thanks.
I'm going to go to Jonathan and then Tom.
Jonathan Field, the racing experts. Joey, you came into the Cup Series as, young rookie in 2009 looking for a Cup championship. Now you're a multi-time champion, a father. How's your outlook on life and winning a championship changed and evolved over time?
I mean, just like everybody else, I'm no different than anybody else. As you get older, your perspective on life changes, right? When you're a kid, there's, you take all the risk with no consequences. You don't think twice about anything. As you get older, you start to, realize that what really matters in life, and taking, everything a lot more serious, in everything you do, and more just intentional about everything you do and why you do it and the things you say. And, because, listen, like, they're watching me, right? Kids are watching me now. And, I make sure that I'm going to have the talk with Hudson and Jameson and Amelia one day about, your dad screwed up a lot, and it's all on TV now. When you're going through YouTube, don't do that, okay? Like, that's not the right way to do it. But I think being honest with them is important. But it is, something that it's as you get older, you start to just think through things differently, and you become better. I feel like I've never been a better race car driver than I am today. I've never been more committed about it, even with more, I don't want to call it distractions, but more things going on in my life. I've never had more going on in my life than I do right now, with 3 crazy kids at home and other businesses and just this stuff, right? And to be able to juggle all that and prioritize all that has been the difference for me. And I honestly feel like all of it's made me a better person altogether. Long ways to go, though. I'm not there yet. I can promise you that.
We go to Tom And then we have a couple questions over on this side.
Tom Bowles, Front Stretch and CBS. Perfect follow-up to what Jonathan was talking about. Like, the big takeaway from this week has been your confidence, right? Not just your inner confidence, but the way that you've, had this outward confidence this whole week where you felt like you've never wavered. And what has this evolution with that outward confidence been like for you? What was it about this week that kind of spurred that in you? I mean, you said you didn't want to play any mind games, but you really came out and said, hey, we're going to win this. And you were really consistent over the course of the last week.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be mind games. You just asked me how I felt, and I was honest. And I really felt like we were in a spot to win this thing. And I truly believe that attitudes are contagious, good or bad. And when you're able to bring that attitude to a race team in a moment like this, as a driver there, that just carries through it. And I believe confident people win. Right? I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, who else is ever going to believe in you? How are you ever going to win? But I also think you can't fake that. I think in my first Championship 4 appearance, was I confident? No. I was a nervous wreck. And are the nerves still there? Yeah, the nerves are still there. You don't want to screw it up, right? Because you got it this far. But I truly felt ready as a driver. And I felt like as a race team, we went through everything we can possibly go through. At that point, the confidence is real. We've been here before. We knew how to do things. We knew how to prepare. We went out and just did our job. We put it on the pin, and then we won the race. Like, that was the job at hand, and we nailed it. So like I said, I'm couldn't be more proud of everybody doing that together, but we knew we were going to do it. Like, that was where we were at. We had the time to think about it and go through things, and we felt truly ready. And that's a great feeling going into a battle like this.
We have two questions over here on the right we're going to go to, and then we're going to go to Michelle.
Joseph Igo, Cronkite News. Joey, stage 2 is a little interesting there with the fuel mileage, obviously. Just kind of take me through the car and what was going through your mind as, who knows if you saved enough fuel or not.
I was going off the information that they were telling me over the radio of have we saved enough or where we're at. And, these days with SMT and stuff, they can see what I'm doing inside the car, right? So they can see how much I'm lifting or shifting or not shifting or short shifting, whatever I was doing in there. And so they have a better way of calculating it better than the old days because they can. It's not just, hey, I'm lifting, I don't know, 100 feet or so. I don't know, like something like that. I'm going really fast. As 100 feet goes by really quick. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say sometimes, but they can now see, like, where I'm actually lifting on the racetrack. So, just did what they told me to do. I wanted to stay in front of the 19 just for track position purposes. I wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves our best foot forward when it came to the next pit stop. So, nothing too crazy throughout it.
We have one more over here on the far right we're going to get to right now, and then we'll go to Michelle and then Justin.
Hey, Joey. So in 2018, when you won your first championship, you welcomed your son Hudson, and then you went on to win a championship and go through the whole motions of that year. Now this year, right after the class, you and your wife give birth again, and once again you go through the whole motions of winning another championship. What is that like, having to go through an entire season when you have infants at home, and then maybe could they be good luck charms knowing that you've won championships both seasons that you've welcomed new children?
It says that my hot ass wife is a true badass. That's what it says. My badass wife is what I should call her. My hot badass wife. How's that sound? Yeah, I mean it takes, like, it's hard at home right now. There's a lot of sleepless nights at times, and shoot, I get to sleep at the racetrack, so it's not as bad for me or as hard for me, but I don't know if it's a good luck thing or what it is, but it's interesting that the years that we feel like we're juggling the most and going through a transition at home have been successful years. Even 2020, we made the Championship 4, and like I said, I always feel like that race is the one that got robbed from us. We were in position to do everything correctly, and something not of our own doing cost us to win. So I don't know what that is. I joked to Brittany, I said, if we win, we might have to have another kid, but I don't think so. I don't think so. We might not do that. I think we're good with 3.
All right, we're going to go to Michelle and then Justin and Adam.
Joey, a little earlier you said you told your kids that the ones that are home that you'd be home soon, but first we're going to party a little bit. What do you envision that looking like tonight, this week, before you get home?
Yeah, I don't know, actually. It's a lot going through here. I know I'm going to LA, so I guess I'm not going home anytime soon. I actually don't know the schedule at all, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I know I'm going to LA. I don't know when I get to go back home. So I don't know. I know there's something we're doing tonight. I don't know where that. I don't know. I'm here right now, and at some point I'm gonna get the sticky suit off because there's champagne all over it, and we'll go from there. I have no idea. I think there's still some pictures. I think I'm here for probably another couple hours before I.
Yep.
Before I
Couple
see.
of hours.
Yeah, I think I asked you how much longer am I here? Yeah, okay, all right. At some point we're gonna party. I don't know when that is yet, or where. Somebody has it figured out. I shouldn't be the person that ever leads a party. I can tell you that much. I'm like the worst at partying, so that might be a good thing. This isn't as entertaining as Ben was last year, so I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead, Justin.
Greg wants to go to Chuck E. Cheese, apparently. All right.
It's kind of weird. Kind of creepy, man. That's what makes it creepy. Anyway, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just joking with you.
I got to pick on Greg there a little. Justin Schuler kicking the tires. Joey, congratulations, obviously. But it's not just your second championship. You just brought Paul Wolf his second championship. I don't think anybody would have thought it would have taken this long for Paul to get his second. So how does that feel for you as a driver, working with Paul and getting him that second championship?
I'm just happy for him. Paul wants it bad. And like I said, the way he was preparing, what he was doing, like he put a lot on him over the last few weeks, and I don't know how he handles his pressure. Right, everyone kind of has their own way on what they do, and I'm able to shut off when I go home, and Paul's a lot quieter person than I am, and if I get him to smile or cheer a little bit, I feel like I've really done something. So, I feel like he holds a lot of things inside with him where I vent everything. And so it's been I think a tough few weeks for Paul and his family. Like I said, it's hard, and the commitment that he put in the last couple weeks, I know his family sacrificed dad time and husband time to do this. And so obviously I greatly appreciate that. And that's why I'm so happy for him, is because it takes a lot to do it. And hey, here we are. So I know how bad he wanted it. Once you win one of these things, you just want to win another one even worse. And, he's been close, a few times since he won with Brad. So to bring that home with him is special.
We're going to go to Adam on the far left and then to Nate.
Hey, Joey. Adam Carabine from RacingRefresh.com. A lot is being made about your confidence this week, but I remember actually before the Vegas playoff race, you were telling us that you're favorited every week. And so it seems like you've had quite a bit of confidence all season long. Now, unfortunately, you haven't won 36 races this year. I was just curious about kind of what sort of strategies you use to build your confidence back up after weeks when things maybe don't go the right way.
That's a great question, and it is. I mean, as an athlete, you have to mentally be strong. That's the difference with I think an athlete from others, is that they're able to control their mind in high pressure moments, right? And you only learn that over time your own way. You can't be somebody else. Like, I can't be the next Jimmy Johnson or whoever, right? Like, I can only be the best Joey. And there's times that I'm so mad at myself from a mistake and I make them. But you also got to look at mistakes as an opportunity to learn. And without taking risks to make mistakes, you don't grow. And that to me has always been like kind of, okay, I made a mistake. I'm stronger now. I'm smarter now. I learned from it. It's over. I'm the best. Now I have another reason to be better, right? Like now I know I'm the best, right? Because I made that mistake. I'm not that bad anymore, so now I got to be better, right? And it's just a bit of it is preaching to yourself, right? I mean, a bit of it is using these moments when you're talking to the media, is that you're kind of preaching to yourself throughout it a little bit. I always feel like media day is the day that mentally I click, like I'm in, like that's kind of my motivational moment. So I learned to love media days for that reason. Because you really believe the things you're saying, right? And you're actually thinking about that stuff and outside of just the race car details. And so I always feel like that's a moment where I click on.
We'll go to Nate and then Luis.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. So speaking of Media Day, Joey, I was in the interview room for NBC, and I watched all four of you guys come through, and it was abundantly obvious, like demeanor, body language, what you said, like you were the overwhelming favorite. I mean, no one was more comfortable that day than you. I know we joke about the 32-year-old being like the old man of the group here, but did you feel like that was an edge going in? Did you sense like, hey, I've got the experience, even though L8's won a championship, it just felt like you really kind of embraced that. And I'm wondering, like, are you kind of embracing that a little bit more, being a veteran, even though you're still so young? You've been around so long.
Yeah, but you try to find any advantage you can, and if experience is that, yeah, I would take that. That's a good thing. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to answer it, but I guess in a way, like you look at your competitors, and you try to figure out, okay, where's their weaknesses, and I look at a lot of them was their first time here. I thought some of them were happy to be here, and when I looked at our team, we weren't in that position, and that made us different. And I think that was something that set us apart. And, I thought these guys are happy to be here, and they're trying to minimize the situation and saying that it's just another race. And at that point, I really felt like we were in a great spot because I've been here long enough to know it's not another race. It's and you can't minimize the situation. It's this big. It is huge, and it hurts extra big when you lose, and it feels extra good when you win. It's nothing like it, and I always felt like minimizing it just helps you sleep better at night, but that's not the real way to do it. And I feel like it was just fake, and so it's not the way I planned on it the whole year. I love making situations bigger than what they are, even bigger, because that pressure to me makes me better. Is it uncomforting? Yeah. Is it easier for me to think in the way that, that to minimize the situation to feel better about it? Yeah, it definitely makes me more comfortable. I mean, I can tell you, I felt like I had a 10,000-pound gorilla on my shoulders, right? Like it's tough. Like I felt the pressure. Don't get me wrong, but you got to learn to love it, because it's right around the corner of having a moment like this.
We're going to go to Luis and then up to Jeff.
Luis Torres, the podium finish. It's been said all season long how people and drivers felt about their car. You won the class, and now you end the season as the champion, the first one of this current car. How will you look back at this season, knowing all the challenges that came with it?
Yeah, I think everyone could probably agree it's the most challenging year and unexpected year from a lot of ways, right? So many different winners, for one. Seeing that, I didn't see that one coming. The lack of consistency throughout the field. Hard to really click off a bunch of top fives and a bunch of wins, and the teams that were strong weren't strong for super long before someone else had figured something out. And just the unexpected pieces that come along with it, whether it's the pit stops, the strategy, the way the races play out. I mean, boy, this year was an adventure to say it the least amount. I mean, just to think about how many things have changed from Phoenix in the spring to now. Boy, I mean, we're so much smarter with this race car now. It's just kind of crazy to think about it all. So, it was a tough grind of a year. And a lot of times you just felt lost. A lot of times. And, the only thing that helped me is I realized that everyone else was lost with me. So that's one way to stay confident, is when you know everyone else is lost too.
And being from Connecticut, and obviously you ran it around Georgia, what would be one message you would tell to those young aspiring competitors, especially from the New England area, that wants to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's neat to think about, where I came from. It's Silver City Quarter Midget Club in Meriden, Connecticut, and getting to go up there earlier this year. They had the grands there, and to see all the kids there, and just the memories come rushing back, right, of everything that was there, and the fun that it was, right, racing with your, I was out there with my dad and just having a good time. There's just nothing. There's nothing like it. And you probably don't appreciate it enough when you're a kid. And so I always try to tell the kids that you should never take for granted the moment that you get to drive a car at its absolute limit, because you don't know how long you get to do that, and that's special. And I always tell the parents that make sure it's fun at that level, because that's what it's about. It's about having fun and competing as a kid, and you don't have to add all the pressure and make it a job. Right, and that's one thing I always think about, like, kids racing these days. Just take it too serious. You're gonna have your whole life to make it serious. And at this level, it's a job, right? And the only thing that's fun is when you win, and that's just what it is. And so there's nothing like those moments, and the dreams that you have, right? This was my dream. I'm sitting here living my dream. How awesome is that, right? Like, you think about it, like, I wanted to be a Cup champion, and it sounded kind of funny when I went to school in Connecticut and no one else raced in class, right? And it's just me, and I brought trophies of show and tell, and they're like, "What the heck are you doing with a quarter midget? What does that even mean?" And I had that dream. Maybe I was the odd one in the class, but this was it. I loved cars, I loved racing, and I loved winning, and I just kept, chasing my dream with all great people around me and teaching me and learning lessons, and a lot of commitment from my family. And look at us now. Kind of neat.
We're going to come up here to Jeff to wrap up.
Just wanted to ask you about your leadership in the sport. I mean, it seems like you've really, especially the last couple of years, taken a proactive stance on trying to be a voice within the drivers group, and within NASCAR. You're going on Sirius every week for your time. How do you see that evolving for you now? You have, at least it used to feel like the champion has a bigger platform. I don't know if, like, Larson and Elliott wanted to use it as much, but you have that sort of now for yourself. How do you intend to go with that?
I have a few thoughts in mind. I don't know if I should share them quite yet, but it is something I think about to that point, that you think of being a champion of sport. You're representing the sport, and that's a huge task at hand. I don't take it lightly, and I want to make the most of it, because I care about us, all of us, right? This is all of our livelihoods, and it's our jobs to make it better than it was the last generation. To me, like, I think of the guys that raced before us, and to think about what they grew our sport into. It wasn't from just driving in circles all day long and ending in the same place, right? Like that. It's pretty pointless when you think of it that way. But when you can really grow an industry together, and have a part of that, right? Like, I don't work for NASCAR, but I have a voice, and I have opinions, and I care about, whether it's the media or the fan experience or the drivers, making sure that things are safe, and working together with that group. The integrity of competition out there. Those are things I think about. This is important, right? We got to hold true to what put us here, but also not be too scared to grow and try new things. And when I think of our sport right now, we're definitely trying new things. New car, new tracks, and you look at the Clash and how big of a success that was. You think of it's been a long time since we had this championship format. Well, boy, has it brought some drama, right? And people tune in and watch it, because just crazy things happen. You can't ever call the playoffs now, right? And that's because a group got together and came up with this awesome system. This stressful system, right? So there's a lot of things that you do. You get to sit on the board of the the Hall of Fame induction group that helps vote and persuade people on who should be in next year. I look forward to that more this time now that I know what's going on there and how it works. And yeah, there's a few people in my mind that I think deserve to be in there. I plan to voice my opinion on that when I get there. So yeah, I think of things like that, I have the opportunity to take advantage of, and I should. I've been here long enough. I've seen a lot of great things, and we've grown a lot together as a group. So we should celebrate that for one, but we should always keep looking for better.
All right, Joey. Well, congratulations on winning your second championship, and go enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Safe travels home. Okay. That's funny. See you guys.